All right, so for some people, that's what I hear from, is that this session is the most important session in the training because it opens something that they didn't have before. I believe that there is a reason, there is a purpose for you to choose to become an entrepreneur. If you're already an entrepreneur or you're just planning to start right now, there must be a reason for you to choose to take the not so easy path. Okay? How many of you have already been in business for a while? For yourself? Great. How many of you already realized that it's probably not the easiest path you could choose in life? All right. So there is a reason. There must be a reason for that. You might be aware of it, and you might not be aware of that. And we talked yesterday about 4 reasons to start a business. You remember? Okay, 4 reasons. So we talked about we talked about independence. We talked about the money. Talked about the fulfillment and the contribution. And those are good. Those are more connecting to us, to who we are. But I think that there is something bigger than that. There is a reason. There is something that you have to give to the world. And the only way that you figured out how to give it to the world is by having your own business. You figured out, either consciously or unconsciously, that you cannot give that value to the world in another way. And you chose to start a business. How many of you can relate to what I'm saying, that there is a reason for you for doing a business, something bigger than you? Okay, if you look around, guys, there's most of the hands up there. And it's not coincidence. It's not that every entrepreneur is like that. It's not that every business owner is like that. But the people that we're attracting with our vision, with our mission, are those people that are being attracted to that. And of course, we attracted the first people, those people that don't like us, that just want to come for because it's about the money. They leave after the first day because they get the point. And those people that only very and money is something that they are against, they also leave. So we stay with the people that actually understand our vision, and when you like it, you'll bring your friends, and your friends are usually people like you. So it makes sense, and this is an important business lesson. If you choose ideal clients to work with, those ideal clients will refer other ideal clients. Does that make sense? If you're allowing everybody to come just because they have a wallet and a pulse, then those people will bring everybody. And your business might grow, but you're not going to be very, very happy about that. I think that part of having a business is to be happy about what you're doing. Is that right? Does that make sense? Yes. All right. So let's talk a little bit about bringing something into the world. And usually we call it, in business terms, we call it a vision. When you're a visionary company, when you're a company or a business that operates from a vision, it comes from something which is bigger than you. I'm not talking about if you've been in the corporate world, what they talk about vision and mission, which is all about them. It's all about the company. I want to become the best company in the world to do this, or I want to become the biggest player in my field. Those are all about me as a company. I'm talking about vision that is always bigger than you. And today, more and more companies are becoming visionary companies, and actually the companies that we admire, the companies that are very, very successful, are usually, probably all of them, are visionary companies. Okay, and it will become more and more in the future. Companies that don't have a vision, that don't see themselves as something which is more than existing just for themselves, will not exist for long. So let's take a look on a few small companies, or not so small companies, and see how they are setting their visions and how it makes a difference, just to give you something practical to look at. So the first company I would like to just share with you for a moment, it's a small company. You might have heard about it. You might know it. It's called Google. Anybody heard about Google? All right. So Google started a few years ago by two academics, by 2 guys from the university. And they needed to do I don't remember if it was their PhD, but I think it was their PhD work. They created a project that was a search engine in a day that there were other search engines. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember, but before Google, there was some other stuff. There was Yahoo, there was Alta Vista, there was other search engines that did the job. And they decided to create a search engine that works differently and delivers better results. But that's not so important. It's not so important the product that they had. What was important is that they had a vision from the first moment they started. And their vision was, and it's still the same vision till today, the vision was to make information available to everyone. The guys that started Google came with a vision, or created a vision, or operated from the vision that said, let's make information available to everyone. Now, there are people in this room that remember the days that it wasn't like that. I don't know how many of you remember, but when I was in high school and I needed to do a work for school, and I needed to do some research, I actually needed to get out of the house in order to do that research. I needed to walk down the street, actually a few streets in my city, and find a building that was called a library. I know that there's existing this building still today, but I never saw people in there, except if they are in their 70s or 80s and they don't know how to operate their computers. But otherwise, why would you go into a library? By the way, when you go to a library to look for material in order to do a research for work or whatever it is, you needed to talk to a person that could help you, and that person had a first and most of the time second degree, right? An MA in profession that was called a librarian. There was actually a person that you said, I'm looking for information about that and that, can you help me? And they will go through their little cards, which were, coded in all kinds of colors and digits, and they will find you the book pretty quick, what you needed. How many of you remember that day? Now, we can look at it with nostalgia, but just to realize that there's not a lot of libraries in the world at the end. You grew up in a good part of the world, in a good period in history, so you had probably a library not far away from you. But how many libraries were at that time in Africa? Or in the Far East? Or in all the other poor areas in the world, not just in the world, also in the country? There were not a lot. So information was not available. Google made information available to everyone according to their vision, and they did it pretty fast. Every single piece of information that you were looking today, you can find it using Google. Which means that a professor in MIT has access to the same exact resources that a kid in the bushes in Africa has with a mobile phone and an internet connection. And you know what? They have mobile phones and internet connections in Africa and in other places. They jumped. Okay? They jumped with technology through the phone lines and everything else. That's disappeared. And every village has at least 1 or 2 mobile phones that are connecting to the internet. And every kid everywhere in the world have access to that information. I don't know if you can comprehend what it means, how flat it made this world, how equalizer Google became. Google digitized everything today. Google digitized every book that was ever printed. And think about it, today every book that is being printed is digital. So it's very, very easy. But books that were printed 20, 30, 40 years, 200 years, 400 years ago are not digitized. Somebody needs to digitize them. Actually, you know that how Google does it, right? Who is digitized it for Google? You, and you, and you. You all did that. You're all doing that every day. Did you ever went through CAPTCHA? You know that you need to fill up a form, and then they bring up this thing that you need to put a couple of words. There are 2 words. One of them is written funny, and the other one is written clearly, or whatever it is. How many of you have went through this process? Okay, that popped up and you need to put that. This is Google serving you 1 word out of a book that they don't know how to understand that. And they just, when there's, I don't know what the number, but when 100 people saying that this word says dog, then they know that now this word is a dog and they move for the next word. You're actually digitizing every single book, every single publication that was ever in history into Google's database. You're doing it willingly, freely, working for Google. Just that you know, you're all employees of Google. Okay? Now, you can like Google or not as a company, they have a vision that changed the world. We cannot imagine the world when it was before Google. I cannot imagine how would I run a business today without the information that I can get today in a split of a second on your phone. Does that make sense? Now, part of Google's vision, it's worth taking a look at it, part of Google's vision is don't do evil. There's not a lot of companies that are putting that into their vision, don't do evil. And they changed the way that search engines works, for example, by not confusing you and by not tricking you to think that some of the results are real results while they are advertisement, like the other search engines before them used to do. You would get 10 results, but 3 of them were paid by somebody, but you wouldn't know. Google changed that. It's very clear what is an advertisement, what is a real result, for example. They're very, very strict about that. So Google have a vision, and as a result of that, Google took off any other search engine that was ever there because of this vision. And it's good to remember, 2 kids from college or from university. Another small company that you might have heard of is called Facebook. Now, I'm not a big fan of Facebook, and I'm not a big fan of what they're doing, but Mark Zuckerberg, from the age of 17 or whenever he started Facebook, started with a vision. He wanted to connect people. The vision of Facebook is connecting people, and nothing stops him. When he went public, and people thought that it's crazy and it doesn't make sense and whatever it is, and he just said, I don't care if the stocks goes down to 0, I couldn't care less. the vision of the vision of Facebook needs to stand connecting people. And I'm pretty sure that most of you are right now on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure that most of you have friends right now on Facebook that you didn't see for 20 or 30 years before that, and you suddenly reconnected through Facebook. Does that make sense? How many of you have reconnected with through Facebook with people that otherwise you wouldn't know? Okay? Now, I don't like so much the way that Facebook is working because Facebook is using words that are confusing. Okay? Facebook called your connection, it's called them friends. Friends. So people the age of my daughter, of 19, that grew up on Google, they kind of have in their mind that this is what friends mean. That's not what I learned. That's not what I grew up on, a term of friend. A friend for me is somebody that if I'm thrown into jail in the middle of the night somewhere, they will fly from wherever to bail me out. That's a friend. I don't think any one of my friends on Facebook is going to do that. Okay? Not a lot of them, at least. Okay? So they are creating some social structures that I'm not really appreciative, but they connect 1-point-something billion people in the world. They are the biggest nation on the world, and people actually do meet people that otherwise wouldn't have a chance. They do the work that they promised. They do their vision, and that's why they're successful. That's why Facebook became so big compared to all the other social networks that were before and after, because they had a vision. One guy had a vision. A college student, guys. It's not how smart he is, it's not how intelligent, it's not how good programmer he was. Okay? It's a vision. Open Circles has a vision. Open Circles operates from vision, and we share with you the vision every single time. It doesn't matter to how many trainings you've been with us, to how many events, it will always be at the beginning. If it's Rudolph, if it's somebody else, if it's me that stands on stage, we'll tell you, we are working from a vision. Our vision is to create a better world. That's the vision. How we do that is by empowering people to fulfill their greatest potential. We will say that, we will explain that, we will work on that. Open Circles, as Open Circles, we understand that as Open Circles, let's say Vera and me, as the founders of Open Circles, we understand that we cannot change the world by ourselves, even not as a company. We are not that naive. I mean, you saw me here for a whole day. You saw that I'm not, somewhere there. I'm pretty much with my feet on the ground. So I understand that alone I cannot change the world. But our vision is to create a better world, and we do that with the Open Circles principle. That's our logo, guys. That's the name of Open Circles. What it means is that we can throw a stone into the water, and then there is a circle that is being created around us. That people that are being affected. Right now, the circles are pretty big. Right now, we have 1,500 people this weekend that we could affect with our stone, right? But hopefully, you will go home and you will start affecting the circle, your circle. And then this circle is spread. How many of you got value for yourself from until now, from yesterday? Great. How many of you are, because of that, are going to do something different in your business, maybe something different in your relationship, in your community, something different? Okay? Which means that the effect is grown. And, hopefully those people that are being affected by you will be affecting other people. This is the logo. I mean, it's nicer drawn, but this is what Open Circles mean. That's it. We change the world not by doing everything ourselves, like Google doesn't make information available for everyone by themselves. Okay? We're using our network, we're using our community, and we're growing and making a difference. Okay? And this is what our vision stands for. And I had this vision for a long time. I had this vision before I started Open Circles. It wasn't as clearly defined, but when I'm looking back at every single thing that I did, including the first company that I had, the software company that I had 30 years ago, that what we tried to do there is we tried to help kids become more creative. We created the first animation studio for kids, the first word processor for kids, the first graphic design program for kids, the first, all kinds of tools. In the days that there was nothing, basically, at that time. So we were the first. It wasn't that difficult. But the vision was to create for those kids tools that will increase their creativity or enhance their creativity. I didn't define that as creating a better world, but that's what we try to do. And I can see it in every training, in every company that I had later, and everything that we create today. Everything that we do needs to fit with that. Every promotional material we're doing, every blog post that goes out, anything that is in your workbook that needs to fit that. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes not, but it needs to fit that vision. And you need to have that vision. And the funny thing is that you probably have it already. You probably already have a vision. You just never you just never sat and thought about it and created it as a sentence. For us, this creating a better world by empowering people to fulfill their greatest potential took some time. Okay, it took some time to create that, to formalize it, but the thread was there. And I'm going to invite you in a couple of minutes to start thinking, what is it that you have to bring to the world? And notice that a vision, it's always about something which is bigger. The vision of Google is to make information available to everyone. Where does it say something about the company? Does it say something about Google as a company? About becoming the biggest, about becoming the best, about dominating a market? Does it say anything? Yes, no, guys? No. Well, is connecting people. That's the vision of Facebook. Does it say anything about Facebook? Nothing. When we're saying that creating a better world by empowering people to fulfill their greatest potential, is it say anything about us? No, it's bigger than that. So your vision always needs to be bigger than that. And when you have a vision that is bigger than yourself, you start attracting people like crazy. Not just people. You start attracting people like clients, like suppliers, like partners, like employees, like supporters, like volunteers. Everything you start attracting to yourself like crazy when you have a vision that is bigger than yourself. But you also start attracting circumstances that will start support you. I mean, just think for a moment. Think about Martin Luther King that was standing there in that day and talking about his dream. There were 250,000 people that were listening to that and marching behind him. Imagine he would stand there and he would go and says, I have a dream. I have a dream that one day I will create this supermarket in Alabama. How many people would he attract? How many people would he rally behind him with this vision? I mean, it's a good vision. That's most companies. That's what they're saying, right? I want to be bigger. I want to be successful. I want to, dominate the market. That's most of the corporates that you worked with. If they were big enough, they would have a vision and mission statement. It would be something like that. Like, I want to have the biggest supermarket in Alabama, pretty much. It's a vision, but it's very small and it's about you. And what you want is that your vision will be about something bigger than that. So I have a dream that my kids and the white kids will play together one day is a vision that is bigger than myself or than himself in that case. Does that make sense? Yes. Guys, are you with me? Yes. How many of you feel that you have something to give to the world which is more than about you and your business and your financial situation and your family and your close circle? Wonderful. So what I want you to do now is to take a moment for yourself and write down what is it that you have to give to the world. You don't need to create a sentence yet from that. This is not the purpose of this exercise, and it's not the purpose to do that in this training. It's a little bit too early. But I want you to write a sentence or two of what is it that you have to give to the world. Why did you come to this world, and that you can express that to your business? Maybe you have to bring healing to the world. Maybe you have to bring joy to the world. Maybe you have to, make this place more tolerant. I don't know. What is it that you have to give to the world? And it doesn't have to be the world. You can say that it's in a smaller niche, but it needs to be something that is bigger than you. And I'm going to let you think about it for a moment. And for some people, that's outside of their comfort zone. Okay? I can, relate to my business, but to the world, oh, that's too big for me. Think big. Think big. From this, it's the basis. It's not at the end, but this is the base. This is how we start creating a vision. From knowing what is it that you have to give to the world, what is it that you want to contribute, what is it that you want to make a difference, or how do you want to make a difference. From that, you want to create a vision statement. And it's a sentence. It's not more than that. And I'm inviting you to work on that in the next days, weeks, months, years, whatever it takes. But as soon as you have anything that is clearer for you, it's time to start communicating with the world. And it's again like the goals that we talked about. We're not used to communicate our dreams or our visions to the world. We just keep it to ourselves because, what if we don't achieve that? What if people will laugh at us? What if people will belittle and make us small? And I had the same, and I remember that the first time that I shared our vision and mission in a group was not so long ago, maybe 10 years ago, in a group when there were about 200 people, and I was sharing the vision, and then I was sharing the mission, which was we want to touch the lives of 1 million people with our work. And I can remember myself standing on stage, and my balls were shaking. I could hear them. And, what if people would laugh? What if people will, just leave because, it's so hoo-ha out there? But what happened was pretty amazing because as soon as the break started, when I sent people for the break, I had a line of, I don't know if probably half the group, about 100 people were in line asking, how can I help? What can I do? How can I participate? How can I be part of that vision? Yesterday I mentioned in a split sentence, I don't think it was more than that, I said very quickly something like that, Verd and me wants to change the education system in the world. And somehow those people that it's that connect to that, it triggered them. And I had so many people here saying, hey, I want to hear more, or I'm also doing it, or can I connect, or can I do something with it? That's what happens when you have a vision. Now, we're not talking about so much about our vision to change the education system in the world, because it's a very, very big project that we want to take on ourselves, and it's going to take a couple of years until we are taking a sabbatical just to build that part. But people that are with us for a long time, you know, and we're every time going a little bit further. What we're doing with our foundation, which I'll talk about, is actually fulfilling that part of starting, taking the steps for that. So when you have that vision, people start getting attracted to you. You will not get better clients than those that are attracted to your vision. You will not get better suppliers than those that can connect to your vision. You will not get better partners, investors, volunteers, etc. We are having so many people working with us as volunteers in our events. I don't know if you noticed, all those people with the black shirts that are called E-Team, and I don't know how many we have in this training, but it's usually about 30 to 40 people that are business owners just like you, busy just like you, came here from Friday, actually most of them from Thursday, came here to work to prepare for that. They get no compensation whatsoever except working really, really hard from very, very early in the morning until very, very, very late at night. You leave here at 7 or 8 today. They will probably leave after midnight, maybe even later than that. And they are doing it for one reason and one reason only, because they've been through your chairs, or they sat in your chairs, they felt something, and they wanted to give it further to somebody else. And I think they deserve a huge round of applause for that. Actually, most of them are not there. Most of them are in the other room preparing for you, preparing stuff for you. Their job is to be as invisible as possible when you don't need them, so they can do other things. But the point is this: we calculated. Now we do all kinds of statistics after we finishing this business bootcamp. So we calculated that we had over 300 E-Team members just for the business bootcamp over the years. 300 different E-Team members that came, and some of them are coming again and again and again and again and again. We have a few people that did all the business bootcamps since the beginning, and they're coming and assisting the other trainings, of course. So there's a big group around us, and there is no way that we would get those people if we wouldn't have a vision that will attract them. If we would just say, hey guys, we're a seminar company, we want to make a lot of money and we want the biggest company in our field, how many people will come and contribute their time and their effort and their love for free? Not so many. Probably none at all. And the point is that we can't afford them. We can't afford those people. Even if we wanted to pay them, we couldn't. Because how much do you pay for somebody that really loves what he does, really passionate? What do you pay to people that are actually putting an intention at the beginning of a training to create for 1,500 other people that they don't know a life-changing experience, and they set that intention and hold that intention for 48 hours, which is a hard work? How do you pay for that? I mean, I can hire team members. You pay a certain amount of euros per hour, and you will get professionals. But would you get the love? Would you get the care, the support, the passion? There's no way. Nobody can afford them. Richard Branson cannot afford them. Bill Gates doesn't have enough money to afford them. So we don't pay them. We give them back what they're giving us. As much love and care and support and passion, and hoping that they will have good time also with all the hard work. But that happens when you have a vision. You're attracting the right people to yourself when you have a big vision. So if you're with Open Circles, if you started to understand this principle, this is your main job. This is your main job, is to create a big vision that then communicate it so people would know and people would start getting attracted. You don't have to do it in a day, you don't have to do it in a week, but this is something that you should start doing.